Our speaker is Róbert Bohát from Institute of the Czech National Corpus, Charles University, Prague, Czech Republic. Today he presents his talk on the topic, Metaphors We Love By, the Four Loves Revisited, a corpus-assisted cognitive linguistic study.
Metaphors We Love By, Four Loves Revisited, a corpus-assisted study. By Róbert Bohát from the Institute of the Czech National Corpus, Charles University, Prague, Czech Republic. If I speak with the tongues of mankind and of angels, but do not have love, I have become a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. These magnificent words of the New Testament hymn of love point to the fact that without love, even the greatest skills and virtues eventually come to nothing. And this was beautifully described by C.S. Lewis's book, The Four Loves, where he points to the interesting detail that in biblical Greek, koine, there are four different words for love. The first one is charity. That's the Greek word agape. It's the principled love, the doing good to others whether they deserve it or not, based on divine principles, divine love. And there is friendship, philia, which is based on the mutual attraction of characters, minds, and then affection, storge, which is family love, the affection we naturally feel to our next of kin. And last but not least, there is eros or eros in Greek, which is romantic love. And if we compare this continuum of four loves with Maslow's pyramid of needs, we can see that the natural loves, those that come natural, that happen to us rather than are being a result of an effort, then these natural loves take care of the first three levels of the human needs pyramid. Physiological needs, safety, as well as belonging, the need of belonging. Philia, because it's based on friendship and friendly attraction, takes care of the need of esteem. But only agape, the principled love, which can love the unlovable, as Lewis nicely put it, affection can love the unattractive, but only agape can love the unlovable. Well, that one reaches the pinnacle of the pyramid, the self-actualization and self-transcendence. That's why William Barclay, the Greek scholar, in his New Testament words, writes about agape, that it is the concept behind Jesus' command in Matthew chapter 5 to love our enemies. Why? In order that we should be like God, says Barclay. And what does God do? No matter what a man is like, God seeks nothing but his highest good. And this is one of the key principles on which the agape love is based. No matter whether people deserve it, God seeks their highest good. And unlike eros, storge, and philia, which come naturally and are primarily a matter of the heart, agape has to do with the mind. It is not simply a wave of emotion. It is a deliberate conviction of the mind issuing in a deliberate policy of the life. And that's why, in addition to the masterful literary analysis of the Four Loves by Lewis and the wonderful lexicographical analysis by Barclay, this study would like to add the qualitative aspect of cognitive linguistics to the analysis, the metaphors we love by, and what are the cognitive metaphors, assisted by the MIPVU method, the metaphor identification process developed by the Freie Universität, and also the quantitative corpus linguistic approach, analyzing the concordance quantitatively, but also the collocations, colligations, and other corpus-assisted analysis. And the first glimpse of the concordance through the corpus linguistic lens of this study can be seen in the frequencies, absolute frequencies of the different words for love. As you can see in the Septuagint, which is a Greek translation of the Hebrew scriptures from which the New Testament quotes, the word agape is used 302 times, which is 4 times more often than philia, and it's 60 times more often than storge, and 150 times more often than eros. And the same pattern emerges approximately in the original text of the Greek New Testament. Agape and its noun and verb forms are used 259 times, which is almost 7 times more often than philia, and 130 times more often than storge, and eros isn't even mentioned in the Greek New Testament. So just the relative relationship or ratio between the frequencies already shows which concept of love is the most significant through its frequency in the original text. And that clearly is the principled love, agape. Using corpus linguistic tools like Lawrence Anthony's AntConc can help us analyze the concordance very systematically. And as we can see in this glimpse of the corpus, on the bottom line, there is one metaphor, beautiful metaphor, organic metaphor. It says that we should be en agape errizomenoi. We should be rooted in love. So love is the fertile soil in which, if we are rooted in it, we can prosper, we can grow like a plant. Love is growth. Love is the soil for growth. Or the line just above, which says, He teleia agape exobalei ton phobon. The perfect love throws out fear. Just like this is a personification, just like a loving mother will throw out a venomous insect from the house to protect her family. So also love throws out fear, which is venomous to our relationships. So what are the metaphors we love by, according to the New Testament? One of the first metaphors that appears is love is an object, because one can have love, possess it, but also give and also stretch out. The translation there typically says have intense love, but literally in Greek, ektene means stretched out love. Love is also a liquid because it can be poured out into our hearts and can fill us up, making the human life fulfilling. Love is a hidden object because it can be revealed, and love is an instrument or a tool because it can be sharpened. Love is also a container. We need to remain in love, do things out of love or through love. And interestingly, in the book of Ephesians, it says in chapter 3 that we should comprehend what is the breadth and length and height and depth of love that is surpassing knowledge. So here love is described as a space or a country or a world that has 4 dimensions, and those dimensions need to be understood and comprehended for us to fully experience love. Love is also growth and fruit, organic metaphors, agricultural metaphors. By living the truth, we grow by love, and we are rooted in love, as we have seen already. And that leads to the fact that love becomes the fruit of the Holy Spirit, fruit like on a tree, and that can be abundant, like a really productive tree, and making the fruit bigger and bigger, which means greater, or as Barclay says, agape is the greatest of all virtues. Love is also construction, because love builds up. Oikodomei builds a house, literally speaking. And mature humans, loving humans, need to be built upon the foundation of love. Just like a house is stable when the foundation is firm, so also a human life can be stable if the foundation is agape. Love, agape, is also a garment. We need to clothe ourselves in love because it is a perfect piece of clothing that covers a multitude of sins and imperfections. And just like a literal piece of clothing can cover our wounds, scratches, and imperfections too. But love is also protective gear. It's a breastplate worn for protection from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and also the only weapon a follower of Christ can have to conquer the evil. Love is also an attachment. It's called syndesmos, that it's a perfect bond of union. That's why no creation can separate one from the love of God. Only we can leave it. Love is also a force operating within us, energumene, or compelling us to do what is good and live a life of self-sacrifice. Love is warmth because it can cool off due to a lot of injustice and lawlessness. And finally, love is a journey because we walk by or in love and walk in harmony with love. Among the metonymies, the most famous one is the quote, God is love, God is agape. In Greek, ho theos agape estin. And this agape, love, is from God, says the text, and is so deeply embedded in the divine nature that God is identified with this key quality, because he is the source of this invincible goodness and benevolence. As for collocations, these show what Berkeley already indicated, that agape is not only a matter of the heart, there is of course the heart involved, but also of the mind, it says, strength, truth, soundness of mind, knowledge, and judgment. Really a love based on principles rather than an emotional, sentimental reaction. Interestingly, also, the consolation of love, paramithion agapes, is derived in Greek literally from para and mythos, beside story or beside myth. So that seems to indicate the metaphor of love is a story that's told and retold to comfort humans. Love is also personified. We've seen that it throws out fear, but it also believes all things, hopes, endures, rejoices with the truth, and never falls, literally speaking. That is, again, a personification and metaphor, and it never fails. So what are the implications and conclusions of this preliminary analysis of data? Wierzbicka, in 2019, argued that the very broad meaning of verbs like love in English and other European languages have a shared conceptual heritage and has its roots in the New Testament. So a deeper probe into the New Testament concepts of love, the four loves, can actually be of great significance to all European languages and all cultures with monotheistic traditions. And our concepts of love are part and parcel of the philosophical plumbing, as Mary Midgley argued. Just like plumbing goes unnoticed most of the time when people live in the house happily, until the day when the plumbing fails and clogs up and starts leaking and bursting. So also our concepts, most people do carry on with their life and research with no special attention and analysis and reflection to their concepts of love until one day they might start leaking and bursting. That's why the metaphor of love is a story or love is a mythos metaphor is quite resonant with Mary Midgley's book, The Myths We Live By, where she argues that myths are imaginative patterns, networks of powerful symbols that suggest particular ways of interpreting the world, and they shape its meaning. How much more so does this apply to the love is a story, or agape is the story, when it comes to the concept of love? So the question is, what are the metaphors and myths we love by? And will they be based on agape? Because agape, according to William Barclay, is a conquest, a victory, an achievement. No one ever naturally loved his enemies. To love one's enemies is a conquest of all natural inclinations and emotions. It is in fact the power to love the unlovable, to love people whom we do not like. It is the unconquerable benevolence, invincible goodwill. And if we understand and analyze this, it can help us to develop Brené Brown's beautiful metaphor of the Atlas of the Heart. These 4 biblical Greek types of love can help us to refine and make this atlas more accurate. They can help us navigate the metaphors we live and love by, and they can be useful for metaphorical reframing in psychotherapy. And of course, in research, to understand the breadth and length and height and depth of each type of love. Agape is the bedrock on which the house of the other 3 loves, philia, eros, and storge, can last and be stable. Without agape, they are like a house built on the sand. When disasters strike, the house falls apart. And that is why I agree with William Barclay that agape is the solution to the world's problems. Thank you.